Good afternoon from sunny Texas and good evening in Europe, all around the world. We have a couple of really nice people in the roundtable here. Fabiano, about a month ago, you bounced an idea off of me. We should do something together, and I thought, why not invite some of our friends to do a roundtable and talk about social media a little bit? And here we are 4 weeks later with some of the best known influencers and creators in the localization industry around the table. I'm not going to bore everybody with a long introduction. I think most of the people that are watching know the characters that are sitting around this round table. And with your permission, I'm going to dive right in. What do you think, Fabiano?
I think you should, yes. Just don't use influencers because you don't like the term.
That's right. I don't like that word influencer, so I just it's a Freudian slip, so to speak, as we get started. The first topic I wanted to put in front of you was a discussion about personal branding, and let's start with a general question that I'm sure everybody that is here is going to have an opinion about, and feel free to chime in. Do you think every localization professional needs a personal brand today? Why or why not? Who wants to volunteer to give us his or her opinion about that?
I could do that, because I've written a lot of content.
It's a big surprise that you're volunteering for the first question, Javier. Thank you. I was wondering. I shouldn't even actually give him a choice. I should have said, let's start with Javi, because otherwise we're never going to live this down. Go ahead.
Thanks, mate. Look. So I believe yes. The answer is yes. Like now in the times that we live in today, having a good image, having a good presence on social media is key. I always put it this way, right? Like, people should aim, and friends should aim, localization friends should aim, everyone watching us today should aim at being contracted, getting a new job, getting that next client without having to be asked for a CV. And you know how you get that? Through a great presence in social media, through a great idea of through connecting, through being very active there, right? So the answer is yes.
Does anybody disagree?
I would add something to that. I would add that there's a big difference between people who are entrepreneurs or freelancers and those who are employed. So maybe there's less stress put on those who are employed. Maybe they don't have to care so much about their personal brand as the entrepreneurs or freelancers do, because for us, it's one of the ways to attract clients. For them, it's just building visibility and having a backup plan, maybe. So I would differentiate between these two scenarios.
Well, basically, Dorota, you're saying that the employees should also be visible on social media, I guess. I will always be pushing for that as well, because, as you say, if you want to have a backup plan, or whatever happens, you never know these times, then if you are Mr. Nobody or Mrs. Nobody, then it's difficult. It gets more difficult.
I would say so, too. I think everybody's perceiving that everyone's head is in the chopping block. Everyone could lose their job at any point. And as a sometimes we hire people, and I saw, if I look at someone's profile and there's nothing interesting there, they start losing points, I think. So I think everyone, it's important regardless of your position.
I think it's so much easier to start a conversation when you have a presence online, and I can tell that right now when I reach out in a cold way to somebody that I haven't had any contact with. They either know about me at this point, or they can quickly check on my LinkedIn who I am, and then they get quick confirmation in that sense. So it's very, very helpful from that perspective as well. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, but in not only on LinkedIn, in all channels of social media, like on Instagram, on Facebook. But Facebook not that much nowadays, right? But on Instagram, like I am connecting with many of my friends here also through social media, through Instagram, right? So.
And it doesn't worry you to be on Instagram in a professional capacity, so to speak? I mean, Instagram is a much looser format, I would think. So I'm not sure that I would be comfortable sharing the intimate details of my very boring personal life with the rest of the world, per se. Maybe your life is much more exciting.
My life is much more exciting than Stefan. No, but for example, I'm very keen on photography. Like on capturing moments of my trips, like sunsets, beaches, and in a lot of places, right? And that really helps showcase who I am, and a lot of my connections that I've made through these years in the localization industry. I've been able to develop them through social media, through Instagram, right? And you have much deeper conversations. You get to know the people really, and you know, for me, all this social media use and all this connectivity. All this social image, right? It's for one and one only purpose, to connect and help friends in the community, right? So it helps. To me, it helps. Yeah.
And Stefan,
go ahead, Kimberly.
I used to think, yes, I'm just starting my Instagram account, and I used to think, oh no, I don't have anything interesting to say. But no, you might be surprised by how many people, they want to know the real you and what you do. So don't think it's going to be like you have a boring life, so you don't want to post anything. You might be surprised by the people that are actually interested in knowing the real you and what you do.
Yeah, and I believe it's also always about the story you tell and the storytelling, and like how do you present yourselves, and who you are, and how you, like, what is important part of your life, right? That you can share, even if it's more private, right?
Yeah. One of the most interesting people in the group here, at least that's what I extrapolate when I look at her LinkedIn profile, is Martina, because she's always doing action things that we behind our desk only dream of. Is LinkedIn your main channel, Martina, or do you have other social media outlets too where you share your sports activities, so to speak?
So it's a very good question. I actually, for anyone who here doesn't know me or doesn't know what I did before, what I do now, I initially started as a freelancer, and then I started an agency for SaaS localization, so software as a service. And then a couple of years later, I started another agency, which is the Action Sports Translator, so translation for the outdoor industry. So extremely different. And so I went through like a couple of basically like personal rebrandings. On my LinkedIn specifically, and when I started using LinkedIn, there weren't many translators, at least in my circle, that I saw on LinkedIn. So that's where I started. LinkedIn was my one platform that I recognized. This is the main channel for me to, build my brand and then and find clients. And then I had Instagram as my personal channel, but then because I did my rebranding into the Action Sport Translator, then which is really my passion, what I do all day is being outdoors and doing sports, then my Instagram and my LinkedIn are really like an extension of my personality in both cases. So it's slightly different, right? Because I'm not going after, or I'm not connecting with clients on Instagram. That's more for my brand or for my, just to share my sports, just like for proof that I am who I say I am. And then LinkedIn is more where I connect with clients. So that's kind of how I use that's like my main two channels. But then if you look me up, I'm everywhere on many like different places. Yeah.
You brought an interesting topic, and it could lead us to the next question. By the way, please remember to introduce yourselves, who you were, so that people know. I know that the names are there, but if you want to say something about yourself, feel free to do so really quickly because we don't have much time. Jan, you decided to go to YouTube. Why is it LinkedIn not enough? What happened there? Or do we have to be on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah,
Snapchat?
Good question. So my daughters are on Snapchat, definitely, but I don't see myself on Snapchat yet. So the reason why I thought about YouTube is because of the reach. Because we're talking about 2 billion people on YouTube, and streaming is, the amount of time people are watching online, and now on the big screen, so on a television screen, is increasing tremendously. And YouTube is already, the second biggest search engine after Google. So it stays all at home. It is a universe itself, and I thought to myself, if I start video, then where I should do that was the place with the biggest reach, and talking about monetization, which at a certain moment can be sort of interesting, because YouTube is a different beast than publishing written posts on LinkedIn. The energy you have to put into it, I thought, let's go on YouTube. That's the reason.
So that I would have a follow-up question about that too, because one of the things that I think about, and I know you're a very, very big proponent of YouTube and the possibilities there, but I would think that at some point, with the immense audience you can reach there, it almost becomes a different job almost. Like it's a job by itself to do that. And my aim is to stay married, so I already put in a lot of time on LinkedIn right now, and I can't imagine if I would have to pump in some more effort to do stuff on different social media platforms. How do you manage that as a family man, or is it difficult, or do you have a secret that you can tell us that we could go into these different directions?
Yeah, so you're totally right. This is YouTube is not something you take easy. Okay, content creation, video creation is so much more complex than writing articles, because not only you have to think about the content, you have to think about the presentation, you have to think about the video recording, the audio stuff. If I would show you what I have around me, it's a whole mess, and so there's a lot of falling into the cold water to try it out. For me, fortunately, I'm the CEO of Beluga, of a company. I have a good team. I'm in this for 20 years now. I think that what we did with ChatGPT, was the technology coming. So one of my channels actually is language technology unboxed, and the other is Lock Lunch Expresso, which is talking to ambassadors like Diego or Javi or Nora, who have Dorota, que también, who have all been on the on the Lock Lunch universe. Now bring them on screen and talking to them in a local format is something that is sort of a passion project for me. And you have to have the time, and you have to have the financials, I would say, to go in there. And I said, yeah, let's do that.
How much of your time are you spending on YouTube nowadays, and how much money are you making with it? I'm not asking for your tax returns, but I just want to get an idea for anybody else who would be interested in starting a YouTube channel. You've grown it pretty quickly. What is the monetization worth it, Jan, or
no.
what?
So, till now,
Till now, zero, right?
Zero. It's zero. Okay, because YouTube has a certain number gain to get
threshold,
in the partner program, which is like 4,000 watch hours and I don't know, 4,000 subscribers, 3,000 subscribers, and so on. So the way I grew the channel was I out the content in a regular way. I think this is something universal for all social media platforms, and for everybody who wants to start on social media. Make it a habit. You need to produce. You need to, put out the content. But YouTube, as big as it is, it's also something that the AI and the algorithm needs to catch you up. It must find your content, and it must start to recommend your content. So, and as our industry, the content we are doing is super niche. It takes time to find the audience. And are you not talking about beauty products or like haircuts or, whatever, or glasses, then it gets really difficult. So it's a long-term game. You have to be willing to go.
Yeah, we've heard a lot from the guys. Maybe love to hear from some of the ladies as well. Fabiano, you had another question. Hold on, I'm going to unmute you because I muted you because you were typing and it was clicking away. Go ahead.
I'm trying to get Patrice in the room because there's some technical issues. I'm sorry for the typing. Can we have a question from the audience? By the way, Camila, thank you so much for your help. Camila has been kind to offer to help us, but we have a limitation of 10 speakers. So moving on, we have a question from Vika, and I'm going to ask that to Nora. How many hours on average do you allocate to creating content daily or weekly while also channeling your passion into localization?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Nora Díaz and I am in Mexico, and it's a pleasure to be here with everyone. I saw that question come in and I thought it was a very interesting one. For me, personally, I don't do a schedule for anything I post online. It's all very organic. So I'm a conference interpreter and a translator, localizer, and also a trainer. So it depends pretty much on when I have time. But for me, it's always been if I find something that's interesting and I feel like I want to share it, I have that in the back of my mind all the time, and then I find a few minutes to go online and share it. But it's always very organic. So if I'm out, for example, interpreting on site for a week, it's likely that my social media presence is going to be less than if I'm sitting at my desk where I have, a chance to, take 10 minutes here or there. I never post. I sometimes get ideas to post things that I know are going to take more time than I have available, and I just simply discard them when I can't. And I don't feel guilty about it or anything. I just prefer it to be organic. So for me, it's not an allocated number of hours or minutes a day or a week or anything like that.
So it's interesting that you say it's organic, but you're always thinking about creating content. So does that mean you have a pipeline, or it's just spur of the moment all the time, where you have some things that are on the shelf that you can pull off when the moment is right?
Yes, both. So that's a good point, because some things, most of it is if I'm working on something, if I'm working on a project, for example, if I'm preparing a training for someone and I discover something that I think is going to be of interest or could be of interest, then I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll go on LinkedIn and share a few screenshots and write the post really quickly, and that's it. And then there are other things, like, as you said, Stefan, that I know are going to take longer, like maybe I need to record a little video or something. And so I just, I have a list of things that I can post later when I have a chance. So for instance, yesterday I was I always post about technical tips. Like, I always think about what could be useful for people. Like, when people read this, could they get something out of it for them, rather than just me saying what it is that I'm doing. So for instance, yesterday I was interpreting at a meeting where one of the participants said, oh, I've been unable to use this program that has some Hebrew text in it because I don't have a Hebrew font installed on my computer. And I was the interpreter in the meeting, and I thought, that is so easy to solve. So I made a note, because I haven't had the time to do it yet, but I'm planning on recording a little tutorial on how to download fonts and install them in Windows. And so that's those ideas come from those interactions, but it's not like I sit down and think, okay, what could I post about? It's always a need that I see, and if I have a chance to do it right away, I'll do it right away. If I don't, I'll just jot it down. Just before I joined this meeting, I opened my computer, and the first note that I saw was, do a little tutorial about installing fonts. So that's something that I plan on doing soon.
So I got a question. Is there anybody
Go
here
ahead,
that
go ahead.
really? Sorry, I have a question because this is making me think. Like, is there anybody here within the audience, within the audience too, and within this group of incredible professionals that really has this posting industrialized? Like, okay, on Monday I got a post about this, on Wednesday this, and Thursday this, or Friday this. You guys do it? Anyone is anyone doing it?
I do it like that, but I actually it's grown out of the pressure of having to produce posts. I've actually grown a system in which I have a backlog of content that is now so comfortable that I hardly have any pressure anymore. And I think that's really what brought this about. It's not like I'm under tremendous pressure to produce content. It's that I wanted to produce a pipeline in which I felt less pressure sharing things and producing the content. Is there anybody else that works? Like, one of the things that amazes me is Diego, for example. He seems to post in squirts of 2, 3, 4 posts at a time, and I'm scratching and clawing to get good content together for one post, and Diego does like 4 at a time. That's pretty amazing. How does that work, Diego? How's your system for doing it that way?
Well, the only thing I do in terms of planning is I plan some posts. And when you see some posts that are too close to each other, it's because I forgot I planned something. And I post again. That's no secret. It's just that I forget, And sometimes there are something that I want to share right away. Maybe because the deadline is approaching. It's not always about myself. So sometimes I am in a rush for that. But many times, it's just that I forget that I planned something, and so it overlaps a bit. And to answer Javi's questions, I don't have industrialized anything. I didn't industrialize anything. I tried. I was thinking I should post about, I don't know, an event on Monday, and then about, I don't know, leadership on Wednesday. It's not for me. The only thing I've been able to be regular with is my newsletter that I've been running for, I guess, 28 weeks, and that's the longest engagement I've ever had, besides my marriage, of course.
One tip I would have for everybody, that if you feel writer's block and I'm going to turn Fabiano's sound off because he's toggling away on his keyboard. When you have writer's block or you feel running out of inspiration, I have this tip for you that's worked wonderful for me for the last 5 years. I use my iPhone to put notes in on a regular basis, and I put a header in every note. And whenever I run out of ideas, it's very easy to scroll through my notes and see by the header what type of topic that particular note is about, and it's easy to find inspiration at that point. Is there anybody else that does this kind of thing, or am I the only neurotic person that does feverish note taking?
I would say this is the best practice, Stefan, and especially for video content creation. It's you have to think about it. You have to have your backlog of ideas, and then you filter down. Then you look, okay, this is now okay. This will drive traffic. It's a good topic, and then you can go into production. But go into production again, that means quite a lot of things. So again, if we talk about YouTube, the YouTube story always starts with a thumbnail, okay?
Yeah.
So on YouTube, it's completely nonsense to think about your content first, because your content can be the best content you have ever created. If nobody clicks, then sorry, you won't have any traffic. The algorithm wouldn't pick you up. So on YouTube, you start with a thumbnail. You start with a thumbnail, then title, and conversion. And then you have 30 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, 30 seconds to hook people up, to not have this amazing, fall of traffic, which is what happens on YouTube easily.
Do you think it's fundamentally different on LinkedIn? Because I think that's exactly the same on LinkedIn. If you don't have a good hook and you're not getting any engagement, your post is going nowhere fast on LinkedIn. Just the same. Who has a different take on that on LinkedIn? Who doesn't pay any attention to hooking or positioning of the message? Nora, you don't? Oh, your sound is off.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself, click in the wrong place. Yeah, for me, no, because you see, and someone was asking the question in the chat just now, whether you think about personal branding, and I think that if that's what you have in mind, then that's what would drive your posts and things like that. But for me, it's always been about helping other people, about sharing content that could be helpful to others. So I don't really, I'm blown away when a post blows up and there's a lot of engagement and a lot of, but it's also okay if a post only gets also 50 views, because, the thing is, and I'm sure this happens to all of you, I learned that you put things out there on social media, and then I don't know who's reading what I post, and it's likely that no one is reading it, especially if they don't engage clearly, like if they don't like your post or react or in any way. But when I'm at conferences, people come up to me all the time and they say, oh, I remember when you shared this tip, or I remember when you posted this other thing, something that I don't even remember anymore. So for me, that's always been the main thing. So I don't really pay attention to, is there a hook? I'm not even really very good at hashtags for LinkedIn. I have to think of what hashtags do I want to use.
Don't do hashtags right now.
Don't do hashtags.
Don't do hashtags. Hashtags are completely out of LinkedIn. It's actually the latest recommendations are no hashtags whatsoever. So don't put them in, because you're actually bootstrapping yourself to an audience.
Oh, you see, I didn't know that.
And I like, Stefan, can I take this to the next level of difficulty? And I have spoken about this with Jan in terms of content creation, not sharing, and it's the content formats. Like, we're talking about writing some text, attaching a photo, and posting it out there. But I and Jan, we have discussions often on how to, in order to get more reach and to be more creative with the content we create, like, how do we do this video? How do we create this mini documentary? How do we create these other things, this other type of format, video, slides, or stuff like that really reaches a higher audience? Like, this is the next level of difficulty, guys. Stefan, what do you think? Is this a question we want to tackle here as well?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the question around this is what your particular style is and what the mediums are that you employ. I do a lot of video content. I know people do these carousels at times. Martina doesn't have to do any of our video or carousels, because her content is very action oriented already visually when she shares pictures. Who else has a particular technique that they think works best? Kimberly.
Yes. I agree with Javi, because I try not to think about hooks, but I try to think about the format, because you can have an amazing information to share with people, but if you just write a huge block of text, that's not going to be attractive, and people will probably not read it. So I try to think about how to space the text or add bullet points or a few things to make it attractive and people is it's going to be easier for people to read it.
Yeah. Who's paying attention to the latest LinkedIn guidelines that are coming out with people like Richard van der Blom in the Netherlands and that kind of thing? Javi, you're paying attention to that?
Yes, to that, and I'm paying attention as well to being to the recommendations on how to start posts as well, and I'm paying attention on how to crack the algorithm, so to say, right? Like one of the things that I've been reading about lately, and it's something that it's difficult to implement, especially in teams, is the difficulties of implementing a social selling methodology. And here's what I'm talking about. Like the LinkedIn algorithm it's making, since there's so much content out there, it's making the job of a creator more difficult, right? It's making it like, hey, I'm not going to share this that much. So you got to start with what Jan mentioned before, with something that is punchy, that really helps connecting with that person who reads it in order to engage, right? So, and then the LinkedIn algorithm is really is doing one thing that has never done before, which is pricing and rewarding comments on other people's posts. You get so many views on comments from other people that you need to really take care of that, right? And me myself, I don't know if I'm a sales guy or a marketing guy, I'm something in between, and I've been paying attention to how to crack that as well, right? I'm recommending a lot of people that are asking me to implement social selling methodologies, which is like commenting on people's posts, doing your own content, and establishing relationships there, right? It gets more difficult all the time. It gets more difficult by the day. But some recommendations are: you gotta start now. You gotta comment. You gotta have the first, punchy line at the beginning, so your audience really engages, right?
Yeah. Fabiano, hold on. Fabiano, your sound is really, the background sound is really, really loud. I'm not sure what's going on, but maybe it's the, what was that setting again, Jan, that you had in the beginning, you said? The noise canceling?
Is that echo cancellation? It's turned on.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
I'm not sure. It's a little bit better now. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have a question from the audience, and it's not among the questions that we had thought before, which is really interesting. This is from Antonio. As CEO, do you encourage translators to engage with their company's content? I imagine having a community of translators is beneficial, but I assume content creation on LinkedIn is primarily aimed at end customers, right? So, is there any volunteer? Kimberly, tell me, how do you feel about this? Do you like people to engage, or do you expect only clients to engage with your content?
Oh, I like people to engage with my content, yeah. And I wanted to say something that Javi was mentioning. Comments are super important. I've been finding potential clients because they find me through the comments that I make on other people's posts. So don't think that just posting and leaving, it's something that it's a good strategy. If you're trying to find potential clients or growing your audience, it's really important to engage with other people's content and give your honest opinion or whatever you want to say, but try to engage with other people because that's going to make a huge impact on the way you're growing your audience on social media.
Yeah, this is perhaps my biggest pet peeve with social media altogether, is that sometimes you have the impression that you're competing with people, and it's actually my conviction that there is no competition on LinkedIn whatsoever. Actually, your closest competitors are actually, or what you would perceive as your closest competitors are actually the biggest opportunity for you to grow your network, because people that are in the same realm of you actually allow you to talk to an audience that would be in the same sphere and would be interested in your content as well, and vice versa. So rising waters lift all vessels, and I agree with you completely, Kimberly. You should engage with the content of other people and help them that way as well. Go ahead, Fabiano. Do you have the next question, or you want me to keep on going? Now your sound is off. There.
Dorota, you've been too quiet. Let me ask you a question. If you were to start from zero today, what's the first thing you do to build a strong online voice, which you already have?
Well, I think I would start from a proper research. Like I would try to figure out who is my target audience, where do they hang out, what keeps them awake at night, so what content they are interested in, for example. And I would also make sure to first work on my brand message and my personal brand before I start posting, because otherwise, if you like post random things, it can just confuse your target audience, especially if you don't know who you are talking to. Like at the very beginning, some 15 years ago, when I just started as a translator back then, I didn't know if I should talk to translators or to my target clients. But then I figured out, of course, to my target clients, why would I talk to translators unless they are my clients for my online courses, for example. So I would first start with the proper strategy. And all this would probably lead me to the conclusion that, well, maybe I need to focus more on videos or more visual content, that it's all about. Probably visual content is, well, the visuals are as important, sometimes even more important than your text. So I would probably focus more on the visuals than on the text itself.
How do you guys measure success? Martina.
So how do we measure success in our
In your social media activities, yeah. When are you really disappointed and when are you super happy?
So I think that's a good question, and I think I was guilty of being, and I think a lot of people maybe initially when they get into social media are maybe guilty of getting hung up on vanity metrics, right? So you see a post that get a lot of traction, which is great. I mentioned at the beginning that I started getting on LinkedIn many years ago, way before I started the Expert Translator and way before my agency, just as a freelancer. And I started like experimenting on LinkedIn. And at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. So, I did a couple of videos that went viral about me. I think I was talking about hand gestures in Italy. I don't know. It was something which was like cultural about hand gesturing in Italy. And those videos went viral. I got thousands of likes and I got so many connections and 0 clients from them, right? Or 0 leads even. So I think sometimes people look at the, followers, the likes, are like, oh, this is great, a success. But over the years, I have learned that those are a lot of the time vanity metrics, and also these links back to what I think Nora was saying, that sometimes maybe we don't have traction on a post, but then there's actually people called lurking, right? Actually, people are looking, people are reading. And that's my experience, that I do write content for my potential clients, for my potential client audience. And I do see a lot of them do interact, but a lot of them don't. And then there's people who contact me and they say, oh yeah, I found you on LinkedIn, or I saw your company on LinkedIn. So that, for me, is success, is that there's people coming to me, not necessarily based on, the views or the traction, but on a single post or on my content, but actually people do reach out to me because of how much content I do put out across all of my socials, which is not just LinkedIn. So it does work. People come to me because they find me online.
What's kind of amazing to me is that you're actually saying, or you're putting the direct relation into, I didn't get any clients from that. I've never even thought of LinkedIn in that regard. Who else is thinking of LinkedIn as a direct client generator? Diego, Diego wanted to say something. Yeah, go ahead.
It's sort of in line with what you were just saying. I mean, it depends why you're there. Many people are there not to find customers. I am not there directly to find customers. I found very good customers there, but not because it's a strategy. And when I started back in 2016, when I started my company, I had 0 followers because I had to delete them all from the previous company. Don't ask me why. And I built like 30K followers almost, be talking to translators and try to explaining things that they need to learn and different things. There's a question in the chat about the highest performing post. I checked, and mine was about the Open to Change badge. That was not for customers, of course. You might remember it was about the Open to Work, and I thought a better idea would be Open to Change. But then it got so many reactions, so many comments, so many sharings, not shares, I didn't get any share. Then clients then came back to me as well, and but it was not the strategy. I mean, I wouldn't want to pass the message that you need to have a clear strategy only, because I see many people are just there to help other people. It's a community in the end, also.
I wanted to say something quick, because it's reminded me, like when you were mentioning before about the likes, the views, all that stuff. Like the other day I was talking to one of my mates, and we described that as monopoly money that really is useless, right? The importance and the big advantage that I think our industry, the globalization, localization, translation industry has, is that it's big but pretty small, and it's tight. And thanks to those likes and to those comments, you may be able to track who engages more. And I believe, and Stefan has been doing it as well. I know some of us keep doing it as well. I'm a people's person, and I love to network and to connect. So a lot of the people that have been following me, calling whatever, are enterprise clients, people that are working on the enterprise side, right? It has helped me create really good relationships with people, incredible. Like some of my best friends, I've made them through this, during the pandemic, right? Now I travel the world, I stay with them, it's incredible. And that also, like the nurturing of those relationships has brought me big business opportunities, and it's bringing them now to Smartling at this point, right? Which I'm super happy about.
Isn't networking a little bit impromptu in the sense that you don't always know what opportunities are going to materialize? And one of the things that I do on a regular basis, I have virtual coffees with people, something Diego turned me on to a long time ago. We do it actually, me and Diego have a virtual coffee virtually every month. Is that the kind of thing other creators do as well? Do you like that kind of networking, or you don't see the value of it? Jan, you wanted to chime in and I didn't see your hand. Go ahead. Oh, your microphone.
Okay, so sorry. What Javi just said, it's and what you were saying, these connections through networking. So for me, and I think Martina did this as well very successfully, is, you start one day, and this is a journey, this is a habit. So through the habit, and especially through visibility, comes connection. And connection filters through relation, and relation become friendship or client or trust, and so I think most of what we do on social media is we try to connect on the trust level. So you write what you feel, what you believe is correct, and you stand your ground about that. And building trust is something that people value. And if you're consistent, so, I started Lock Lunch. So Lock Lunch is a very good example of that, where many of the creators we have in the room and also, outside this room have actually embraced LinkedIn in a regular way. So it was like, okay, once a month you organize this Lock Lunch, once a month you announce your next Lock Lunch, right? And then afterwards you engage with the community and say thank you and tag the people, and and people comment on that. And what I have seen is that many of those Lock Lunch ambassadors have become really cool content creators. Mm-hmm. And Stefan, you know,
guilty as charged. I owe a lot of my presence on LinkedIn social media to Local Lunch. Before Local Lunch, I was not involved. on social media. And so thank you, Jan. Who else actually is or was a local lunch ambassador? Raise your hand. Dorota, you're as well. Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're.
Diego is there
I've
forever.
been in 2 cities.
You know, so
Yeah,
so
that's
This is
that's
also-
your legacy. That's your legacy, Jan. We thank you.
Yes,
No,
we
I
do.
mean, but now just consider what's happened next. So LinkedIn has changed hands in the last few years. You know, now it's Microsoft. And as you all have noticed, for content creators, LinkedIn algorithm is changing all the time. And there's these, you know, see a post from 4 weeks ago. And you're like, what? This is not.
Yeah, it's a bit nutty for the moment. I have to tell you though, and I don't know whether you guys are aware of this, or maybe you have more details about this. But I've been told in the past that all the social media companies go to Nevada, where there's a school that is organized by the gaming companies, and they are being taught how to stack the social media for it to be a game and to have you try again. So the reason that the algorithm actually changes and also is a bit frustrating, I truly believe is on purpose, so that you keep on guessing and you keep on trying harder. So that's not a very positive outlook for anybody who wants to get started. But you know, it's maybe some solace to the people that sometimes get frustrated. I actually think, I don't know what other creators think about this, but every summer LinkedIn goes a little bit berserk and tries new things that don't make a lot of sense. And this summer was no difference. Fabiano, do you have another question? Go ahead, man. Jump on in.
I do. I have a question from the audience, a really good one. And this is for everyone. It's coming from Dave. But before I ask the question, there's a lot of activity going on in the chat. Feel free to share your LinkedIn profile for people to connect. I just posted my my LinkedIn handle here. If the other speakers want to do the same, it's easier for everyone to follow us. And the question from Dave is, and this goes to everyone, what was the most successful post from you? Was it a new position? Was it a professional article? What was the one that stood out the most for you?
I think there's a difference that people are gonna. I'm very curious whether people have the same experience with this, but there's a definite distinction between something that gets the most likes and something that had the most impressions. They're not the same thing. So I'm interested in knowing what your best performing posts in both categories were. Go ahead, creators. Who wants to jump in first? Kimberly.
I just want to say, when it comes to content that people really connect with, it's usually when we help our audience with the problems they face every day. So if your social media is all about you, I did this or I did that, you need to remember that if you want to grow your audience, you have to think about what your audience really needs. Because I can assure you, people will pay attention to the content that actually solves their problems.
Anybody else?
I agree 100%. And I wanted to, Stefan, if I can take the floor. I wanted
Absolutely.
to share about the post that got the most traction for me. I was surprised I posted in the afternoon, I think, on the day that I learned that ChatGPT was available on WhatsApp. And I just shared that with people. It took 3 minutes to put that out there. Then I, logged off, went to bed, and in the morning my phone was blowing up, and it was that post got about 550,000 impressions, a lot of shares, a lot of engagement, and a lot of it was, and this is something that I have read about for engagement on social media, a lot of it was, why would you even need ChatGPT on WhatsApp? So it was people, questioning what the value of that was, and then other people responding to them like, well, what if you're on a plane and then you don't have, an internet connection, but you can still have messaging? And so I thought it was super interesting to see the conversations and the discussions and how a very simple post that was not planned, I'm sure it wasn't perfectly structured either, but the topic was timely, I think, maybe, and it stirred something up in people. Like they wanted to respond, they wanted to react to it. And most of my audience is usually in our industry, but that post got a lot of impressions because it started, people started sharing it. So people from other industries started also chiming in. So I thought that was interesting.
I think you're touching upon something that I think is definitely tipping the veil when it comes to impressions, is that if you really want to go beyond your regular audience and get impressions beyond the normal audience you reach, it's usually with something that has cross interests and that is reaching beyond just the localization industry. That some of the posts that have really gone viral for me are posts that had interests beyond the localization industry. That's not always the best thing, because we probably want to get the best audience within the industry. That's what we're aiming for. But if you really want to get a large audience, I think that's what you're aiming for. Who else has a similar experience in that regard?
Mine was a Bitcoin post.
Yeah.
Shoot through the roof.
Yeah.
No idea. Right timing.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
vanity, as Martina said before.
It makes me think of one thing, because we've been speaking about creating the content, creating connections, going viral, getting to the biggest audience as big as we can, right? But have you faced difficulties in people going against your content, talking bad about what you're doing, or even spreading rumors? Has anyone experienced this before? Trolls or stuff like that?
I have
I
not,
have one
but I
example.
tried
It
to.
wasn't like
Go, Dorota has an example. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dorota.
No, it's not like someone was spreading rumors or talking bad. Yeah, it's not like someone was spreading rumors or talking bad about me. But earlier this year, I posted something about agentic AI for localization, and this post had a lot of impressions. But there were many people who were against it, and they started calling me a hallucinator. And so I was like, okay.
Oh, really?
So. And now, fast forward a few months, agentic AI is a thing, and it is used in localization, also in localization tools. So, well, my predictions weren't so ungrounded, but the thing was this post, well, it brought a lot of negative feedback. It doesn't happen often. I think people, if they don't agree with your posts, they will be silent. They don't want to leave a negative feedback because negative comment, because it will speak badly about them, right? So I think smart people would try to give you a constructive feedback, not necessarily calling you names. So that was like one very strong example that, but it actually taught me some stuff. It taught me how to deal with negative feedback and how to distinguish what kind of feedback is constructive and which feedback is just aimed at you personally.
Yeah.
Diego, jump on in, man.
I was called names many times, like
Of course you are.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, the most vivid comments came from freelancers when I was talking about something that was not probably in their likes, and this is was a kind that everything happened under those posts, and it's good because you still get the impressions. You don't want those conversations, but if you interact with them, then it's still on the positive side rather than negative. Of course, you don't call anyone names, you don't react in bad ways, you try to explain your point of view, and it's still positive in the end, I think.
Do you think it's more difficult to be a creator? Do you think it's more difficult? You think it's more difficult to be a creator as a CEO of a company? Like you and Martina, or is there a bigger risk?
Well, I think if you have strong opinions you believe in, then it can get difficult. Whatever you do in your life, you will always find someone that is not in agreement with what you're saying. But I'm always completely transparent. Sometimes I would need to think a little bit longer before posting and thinking about the potential consequences, which I don't. But if you are transparent and if you have opinions, then it might happen that you get some negative stuff. But it's part of the game, I guess.
I think
Martina.
Yeah, my experience is okay. So before I say anything, my situation is very different from everybody else's because what I do is So we talk about translation, it's a niche, right? And then what I do is like a niche within the niche within the niche. So the people that connect with us are typically, there is like this culture that binds us all, which is like very different from, I think, most cases. And we have like a very strong relationship with, freelancers and everything. So we don't really get any negative feedback in general, but even then, there was once that I did post something about AI, and I did get like some negative feedback from freelancers. So for me, it's like a mix between what Diego was saying and what Dorota was saying, because it's normal. The freelancers, the translators, it's real. There is the fear, there is the pressure, taking our jobs away, this and that. So even though our stance is we use AI in a responsible way, I'm not going to bore you with the details now, but we're very also opinionated on this, right? We're always saying how we use AI in a responsible way, blah, blah, blah. But still there is that like underlying super deep fear, so that people still feel like, I don't know, you're going to replace them or something. So that is the one occasion where I did get a bit of negative feedback. But again, that was also my, not strategy, but like my response was, I acknowledge that that's how you're feeling, and then I'm going to have a conversation with you rather than, I don't know, telling you, you're crazy or how dare you, right? Like having that sort of conversation and open dialogue.
If I can offer a recommendation and talking about my own personal experience, I think the posts that have been most successful, and yes, I'm a freak. I have a content agenda. On Monday, I post about something. On Wednesday, something. And Friday, something. And I have a time that I post because I'm so chaotic that I need this kind of control. But the Fridays are motivational Fridays. So I post something about, and usually something that I expose myself, that I make myself very vulnerable and real. And I think the post that made, that I had the best response was when I talked about my age. And I said, I'm old and it's fantastic and I'm loving to be old. In a society that's always praising young and gorgeous and thin, and I think it's okay to not follow those standards. People say, there was such good response, and a few others about how the conference stages are not reflecting the people on the floor. There is lack of diversity on, everywhere. So I think while I try to talk always about business, I always try to bring my personal perspective. I think we also talked about it. It was one of our questions. So that's my recommendation. Be real, be genuine, and be honest to your audience. It's really important.
Yeah, I think as long as when you're a public, when you speak your opinions in public or you create content, you're always a subject for trolls, non-likers, conspiracies, and rumors as well, right? So,
yeah. So we are approaching our first hour. We had planned for 1 hour and a half. Javi has to leave.
Yeah, I'll have to drop in 2 minutes, guys. Yeah.
And Martina too. I think she mentioned that she would have to leave. We're happy to stay. We have 30 minutes more, but Javi and Martina, if you want to say your last words.
Oh, that sounds so.
I can stay another 15 minutes. I'm happy to stay another 15 minutes. I can off then.
Javi, say goodbye.
So thanks so much. It's been great. Like we've discussed things that are happening to us every day. I hope the friends following have learned something from us and connected, right? And Stefan, Fabi, thanks for putting this together, guys. And all, I've got so many friends here that I know. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in person soon, guys.
Thank you so much, Javi, for joining us and sharing your wisdom. We were captivated. Thank you.
Bye, fellas.
Stefan, what do we have there?
What we should talk a little bit about community and community building and advocacy. I know that several amongst us are very active in that. That's not my forte, but I'm looking to learn from my fellow creators here. So how do you see the role in building and supporting community in the localization industry? I think I can't possibly ask this question from anybody else than Jan, because it just wouldn't sound right. So you can go on and take your first take on that, Jan, and then anybody else who wants to chime in, go right ahead.
Yeah, okay, so Log Lunch obviously is has grown pretty big.
Yeah.
So lessons learned from Lock Lunch. First of all, it all started with a single post. Okay, it started with an action, and completely emotional. Hey, that was so great, and this was a round table with blah 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 enthusiasm, and then feedback from people around the world. Hey, this is so cool. Why don't you come and do the same here in my side? And I can't go eating my life through life, and just step there. And then we came up with the idea, why don't you organize it yourself? You copy the concept and then you run it in your place, and boom, we had the ambassadors, right? And so
this whole process that you're describing right now, how much time are we really talking about, from initial idea to now we all of a sudden have all these ambassadors sprouting up all over the world? Was that a question of years or months?
Okay,
or...
so I mean, it's 6 years now. Okay,
right.
It's 6 years, and if you look on our weekly newsletter, it's just amazing. I mean, this last week newsletter, I think there are like 12 Lock Lunches happening all over the world, from east to west, and then the posts come out, and people, you show the pictures. There's some attributes to doing this picture thing, because it is essential to build community. So you see yourself, you see tags, you feel like, oh, I would love to be there as well, right? So we're playing, this is not a social game, but that is social. We're social animals, everybody, and belonging is a very important thing. And so if you know how networks work, then this is pretty workable for everybody. So, community building, and this comes back to your initial question about, do you make business through your social media creation? My whole existence is based on the relationships I form through social media, so through my interaction with clients, with my content. People get aware of us. Don't forget, if you're not visible, nobody knows that you exist. Nobody knows that you're a dog. But
has it cut down on your business expensive, because now you can pretty much go to any conference around the world and find a place to stay when you go to business conferences, Jan?
Yeah, I mean, check it out. We're going to Samwat in India in a month and a half, and we will have the official dinner will be a Lock Lunch in India, and there will be 150 people, or I've never met in my life. So we will go there, and I'm in the center, sort of, and that is opening doors on all levels. It's not about making business straightforward, and this is something I think everybody here in the room understands very well. So networking is about giving, and then you will take from what you give, and people gain trust. When you have gained the trust, then you can do whatever you're capable of, and that is, for me, social. It's very entwined. Community building, social media, be authentic, be there, be visible, and go for it.
Stefan, do you have a question?
Yeah,
or should I go? Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that I was thinking about too, and that is maybe an interesting thing to talk about, is that we are in the localization industry. Amongst us, we probably speak dozens of languages. Is there ever anybody tempted doing posts in another language than English? I don't think we actually have a native English speaker in the room right now. So why is it that we are in the localization industry and we still all post in English? That's maybe the more provocative way of asking that question. Who wants to take this?
I think we assumed that English is the international language and will reach more people. I would
Ooh, you
never
can get in a
try.
lot of trouble saying that in the localization industry.
Yeah, but it depends on your clients. I would never find clients if I was posting my content in Polish. Sorry, my clients are not really in Poland so much. So yeah, you have to figure out who are your target clients and then post in their language ideally, or at least in the language they can
Nederlands
understand.
doen ook. Jij kan het in het Nederlands doen ook.
Ja, dat kan ik ook, maar dat weet ik niet.
I
I know Nora posts in Spanish once in a while. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Right, Nora?
Yes, that's correct. And it's mostly when it's, of course, I work with English and Spanish, and I do some training. I offer some training in Spanish. And so when that is happening, or when I'm going to a conference that's going to be in Spanish, I feel like people could read and understand if I post in English, but it feels more personal to write it in Spanish. And of course now with, people, if they really want to read and understand what was posted, it's very easy for them to get a translation. So I still get engagement and reactions from people who are not Spanish speakers. And I do the same thing for example, on Facebook. I am very active on Facebook. And I will post things that are just, curiosities that would be of interest to people in the Spanish-speaking world. I post in Spanish. But when I share something about, tech or something that I'm doing training or something, that's always in English. And I feel like it works okay. And sometimes people will engage in a different language, and that's perfectly fine. I have been tagged on LinkedIn posts that have been posted in different languages and that I don't read or understand, but I will make an effort to, get an automated translation, of course, a machine translation, to be able to engage and react. So I think, I don't think that's a barrier anymore.
Anybody else have an opinion about that?
I think this is a very large discussion why we that pray that clients should translate, that they have to talk to their audience in their own language, and we only speak in English. We go to conferences, it's only English. All the content that generates is English. So we're praying, but we're not practicing what we pray, which is very, I think we need a discussion, a larger discussion around this. At the end of the day, our AI is being fed with English-only content, and it's not reflecting the world that we live in, and we will have problems with it. But this is a larger discussion. To answer the question specifically, the post when I post in Portuguese, even though I have I'm Brazilian. I lived almost all my life in Brazil, and I have a large base in Brazil. Very little interaction, very little responses. It's mostly maybe because the English speaking community interacts more. I don't know. I've seen people who have a lot of followers in Portuguese and who interact a lot, maybe because I don't do as often. It's all about building your base, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah. We have some questions from the audience, maybe that I want to bounce off of the panel here and get some feedback on, unless somebody wants to chime in on this last topic. But I have a question from Miriam here, who says, when making a LinkedIn post about our industry, how do you write in a way that catches the attention of the intended audience? Do you guys change your writing styles for your posts? Do you tailor your content in a specific way when you write it?
Well, I guess you at least change the terminology, right? I mean, we should avoid the jargon. I wouldn't talk about post editing to someone in the sports, action sports, or outdoor sports. I mean, they don't care about post editing, they know what it is. So at least you would use a different terminology, maybe. And so
Yeah.
Shut up.
Kimberly?
Yes, I think to answer that question, it's really important to talk about storytelling, because I think many people underestimate how powerful storytelling actually is on social media. And we usually think that's for books or movies, but in reality, it's just about sharing a small and relatable moments that make people connect with us. And why is that important? Because people don't just follow content, people follow people. So it's important to consider storytelling as part of the social media.
So I want to chime in something that's my own experience and probably something that's helped me the most in getting more efficient on social media. And I ask you as a panel whether this sounds familiar or not, or whether you think it's helpful. But for me, what's helped me tremendously in getting more engagement on my posts is paying attention on how I behave on social media outside of LinkedIn. And LinkedIn actually is a bit slower than some of the other social media platforms. I'm particularly thinking of things like Twitter or Blue Sky. When I'm scrolling through a news feed and I'm stopping and I'm clicking on something, I'm always thinking, why am I stopping? Why am I clicking on this? Why is this interesting enough for me to go check? And if you one of the ways that you get engagement on your posts is obviously by getting likes. The decision, I challenge anybody to kind of pay attention to the decision-making process on a like. If you're not in a business environment like LinkedIn where you're giving props to people that you like, or there's all kinds of other things that come into play. But if you're just on, say, Facebook or Twitter or any of those social media platforms, when you give a like, that decision is made within half a second, probably even less. And so it seemed to me that on LinkedIn, my content could get a lot better if I would gear it towards that kind of decision making. So the first line of your post is probably the most important line. And if you're scrolling past your post and your finger is not itching to like it, then you probably haven't written the post correctly. That's my litmus test. I'm not sure whether anybody else is using the same, benchmarks, but that's the way I do it. What do you guys think of that idea? Martina, go ahead.
What about people who don't read the first line? No, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I always read the first line. Do you think people don't read the first line?
Well, if you scroll too fast and you catch only the last bit, well, you might be scrolling too fast and catch only the last bit, and then, or maybe it's the way you formatted the post. There was something in it that caught your attention because of the structure, not because of the content.
Yeah. That's why visuals are super important, and I hardly ever write without a visual, and most of my content is moving content too. There's a particular reasoning behind that, but that's just me, and I got lucky because I've been involved in video making for a very long time, so it's easy for me to pump that out. It might not be that easy for other people to do the same kind of creation. Martina, you've been patiently waiting, and I'm starting to feel guilty. Go ahead, speak up.
No worries. I actually wanted to answer the question about how, which language you use if you have to refer a specific niche, because that's
yeah.
And I will be shortly, so I just wanted to answer that question. And I just want to go back to when I did the rebranding, because there was one point where I was trying to market, and I'm talking about LinkedIn again here, both to my s.a.h localization potential audience and my sports translation audience. And at one point I lost my voice. I didn't know what I was like. It was so difficult to talk to these two completely different people, audiences.
Audiences.
You know what they say, when you're trying to talk to everyone, you're not talking to you talk to no one, right? And that's what I felt. I felt like an imposter. I was really struggling to know, because what these people in the s.a.h industry are interested in, this is not what the people in the outdoor sports industry are interested in. So, which is why I decided to make a complete switch and just focus my brand and my my whole business basically, or my LinkedIn presence specifically on the outdoor industry. And so then the question is, how do you change what you write for a specific niche? I think it's really important to understand what do these people want to see from you, because if you're talking about like a topic that's not as relevant, then yeah, it's going to be, echoing sort of like in an empty chamber. So really understand how do they talk, what do they talk about, where do they hang out? I think somebody said that at the beginning earlier, I think Dorota, where do they hang out? Maybe not all of them will hang out on LinkedIn, depending on your niche. And yeah, and then try to mirror more or less the terminology or the topics even that they're interested in.
It dawned on me, Martina, that there's something fascinatingly contradictory in some of the things that you say, in the sense that you're very, very niche, but you probably have the biggest network of all the people that are in the panel here. So there's a lesson in there somewhere. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think there's two things here. One is that when I mentioned earlier that I started on LinkedIn a few years ago, maybe in 2016 as well, around that time when Diego, you were mentioning as well. And at the time, there weren't many people in from the translation industry like using LinkedIn in this way, right? And I actually was very active in a lot of groups, and I was also helping other translators get on LinkedIn. So initially, I was doing a lot of sort of participating in courses and helping other translators. So I got a ton of people from the translation industry. But then I also went through an exercise like what Diego did, I think, from what I understand, kind of clean it up a little bit. And I wanted to really refocus on not just connecting with translators, but also with clients. So I made a very intentional effort into growing my network, which I still do today. So my network right now is a lot of translators and a lot of potential clients and actual clients. And so because I talk about outdoor sports industry, which is what my clients are interested in, but then I also talk about translation, which is what all the translators in my network are interested in. So it's kind of, at the intersection of both. So it is niche, but it's two niches, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah, and you're very action. So that the sticky thing with your profile too, and I don't want to make you feel too uncomfortable, but I think that the sticky thing with your particular profile is that you're action sports, and there's so very few action sports around on LinkedIn. So it instantly makes what you do, I think, much more attractive. One day you're in Greece hanging off a cliff, the next day you're in the Austrian Alps climbing a mountain. So I think that is, it lends itself to interest. Wouldn't you agree? Because people are sitting behind their desk dreaming of the life that you have in your van, driving all over these interesting places.
So it's interesting what you say, that there is not a lot of content around that on LinkedIn, but it's actually not true. It's the content that you get to see, is the content that you are interested in.
Right.
And that's also what
I spend my time with boring translators most of the time, is what you're saying.
But of course, you're connected and interacting and posting content about translation. Whereas I actually made a very intentional effort as well a couple of years ago, that I was really, especially when I was in the SaaS space, it was all this talk about, I don't know, SQL, MQL. I was like, no, I don't like to see. This is not my passion. So I started unfollowing everyone, and I started following people that I was interested in. And now I log into my LinkedIn and I see, all I see is content about outdoor sports. And this is extremely then useful, because it's very easy for me to interact and then do that, comment marketing strategy and social selling, and actually go around and comment with things that I'm actually interested in. So if any of you in the audience are interested in going after a niche specifically, I can also very much recommend on curating your feed and really bringing the stuff that you're interested in into your feed, because then it's natural for you to go and say, yeah, I don't know. For me, oh, great shot, done. Great, and then sort of conversation like that. So.
Oh my goodness, Patrice, you made it.
Patrice is here.
Yeah, hi guys, how are you?
Hello. You got to turn your microphone on, no, Patrice.
Oh, my microphone's not on?
Yeah, now it's on. And you know, Martina was just talking about how when she logs into LinkedIn, she sees nothing but auto sports, and I thought this would be the perfect moment for Patrice to come in, and there you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You won't believe what I went through to be able to connect. I rebooted my computer. I scanned my disk. I used Wise Cleaner. And I said, I wonder if this works with my phone. And Fabio replied, said, yes, it should work. So I just downloaded the app.
And here you are. Thank you so very much for joining us at the end of the of the talk. But we'll give you some time to answer questions. Fabiano, do we have anything from the audience that you can ask the panel?
I have. So this is coming from Miriam. When making a LinkedIn post about into a very niche. Oh, we just talked about.
I think we just did that one. Yeah, we did that one. Yeah.
I actually have another question. So before, so we're talking about changing the content according to the audience. I was wondering whether any of you has whitewashed your content. I've seen people talking about, oh, if I put diversity, if I include DEI in my posts, my impressions go down. I'm penalized by LinkedIn. So I wonder if any of you has had any of this. Have you noticed any of this, and whether you changed your content because of that?
Did you mean imposter syndrome?
No. So
you're talking about diversity, is what you're talking about.
So talking about using some terms that would be penalized by LinkedIn. No,
I don't have any experience. Oh, somebody is reverberating.
Probably.
Hold on.
I'm guessing because you just came on. You might want to check your ecosystem.
No.
Or Camila.
Yeah.
I think it's Camila.
Yeah.
On that note, everybody, it was really nice to talk. I'm going to have to log off because I do have to go on an expedition tomorrow morning pretty early, which is work related.
Where are you going on an expedition? You're going to have to tell us before you leave. Where you're expediting tomorrow?
Like an expedition. I have to go up at 5 a.m. Well, I have to meet at 5 a.m. So get up really early to go like a bike expedition, which is work related, and do something.
Well, that's how you.
You will see at some point. But I have to do I have a work commitment which involves getting up at almost top of the mountain in my life.
So you spend money on the bike and you expense it with the company because you do all those sports. Yeah, that's yeah. Ciao, Martina.
We live vicariously through you, Martina. We look forward to seeing the images on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day/evening.
Bye.
All right. And any other questions from the audience? Camila.
Hi there. Can everybody hear me all right? There's
Yep.
a little bit of echo maybe.
Yeah.
no, that's good.
Yeah, I think there is one last question that hasn't been asked yet, so I'm gonna just throw this in the circle here. Maybe it has been addressed, so just let me know. So did any of you thought of personal branding formally before starting creating content or positioning yourself in social media, or especially on LinkedIn, or was it something that started organically and still remains that way? So in other words, have you guys really thought this through before, or kind of like naturally started as LinkedIn became more popular?
I have a theory about this, but I'll let everybody else talk first.
Patrice, you haven't said much, so
Patrice.
go ahead. You're muted.
Your microphone.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
We still can't hear you.
Merci beaucoup.
Patrice, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Patrice.
You can't hear me?
You have to mute yourself.
Yeah, I did. I am unmuted.
Nope.
Too good to be true.
Can you hear me now?
No.
No? Okay.
We'll follow with you. Nora, did you want to say anything? Do you want to answer?
Can you hear me
For
now?
me, I had seen the question come in the chat.
God, that's
and I said,
impossible.
no, I
Nothing
think
works today.
I
I can't
tried on
believe it.
LinkedIn at some point to
No, I'm
share what I
unmuted.
was writing on my blog, and
And
it just grew
now?
from there. But
No?
no, that has been unexpected, and
Did you hear
welcome,
me when
of
I
course, but
arrived
it
and
was never
Stefan greeted me?
intentional.
No? Hmm.
Diego.
Well, I was thinking if I should say this, it was not intentional. I did know that I wanted to have a network. The moment when I started to get more visible is when I bought these crazy glasses, the red ones, not these ones. And everybody was recognizing me through the glasses. Yesterday I was at the fair in Italy, in another industry, and someone stopped me and recognized me from the glasses, from LinkedIn. I was so happy. But it was not intentional.
I can see you're growing your hair out, and all of a sudden, I think you're tired of being
Me?
confused by me. So you're growing your hair
I
out now, all of a
cannot
sudden.
shave my hair because I'm moving to another office and something
Okay.
fell on my head and I have a scratch
Okay.
here.
Oh
So
no.
this is why.
It's temporary, I hope.
Yeah,
Bald is
hopefully.
beautiful. That's how I feel about this. But
There's nothing intentional with what I do, Stefan. Don't overestimate what I do. Never intentional.
so what I have a theory about when people get so with me. It was definitely not premeditated that I started going out on LinkedIn. Somebody challenged me actually to start doing some of my business development by going on LinkedIn. That was the new modern way, and then I kind of tumbled into it. But it coincided with something else. It coincided with the start of COVID. And like so many businesses, the business I'm involved in dipped for 2-3 months, and I got the scare of my life. And so that was a big motivator to get more visible on LinkedIn, because I thought, oh man, if the business goes kaput, nobody knows me, I'm going to have to get some visibility somewhere. And so that's still a pattern that I recognize with other people, though, that you see people that are not active on LinkedIn at all. And then all of a sudden they start posting left and right. And I'm thinking, they're probably something's going on with their business, so they don't feel that secure anymore in their job. Do you think I'm correct on that? Or am I just, how do you call it, projecting my own feelings on that, you think?
Maybe it's also about the confidence. Some people don't post regularly because they can't find their authentic voice, or they don't feel confident in the idea of posting content. So that was true to me. I just didn't know what to post about for many years. I had my LinkedIn account since, 10, 15 years, whatever. But the first few years, I just like, what am I going to do here? So I think it just takes time for some people to build up the confidence and figure out that they can be authentic, and then they just can write about what they are passionate about.
Can I jump in?
And I wanted to say something.
Yes, Kimberly, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, I just started posting on LinkedIn, and I never actually planned to talk about personal branding or anything like that. But then people started asking me questions about it. So that's when, or invited me to events like this one. So that's when I realized, there is something there. So it wasn't on purpose, but yeah, it happened.
Beautiful. We have 2 minutes, and I think we need to leave. But so I'm going to ask each of you, Stefan, with your permission, to wrap up. In one sentence, what is the best advice that you could do to the people in the audience? Patrice, let's try you again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Oh my God. It's a miracle. I was fiddling with the menu while you were asking your questions. May I ask you to repeat it, please, so I may answer?
Oh, sure. If you could give one piece of advice, one sentence to the audience, what would that be?
Okay, one piece of advice. I'm sure you guys talked a lot about personal branding and strategic marketing. And even though those skills were not part of our initial core skill set, they have become essential, even though they are not core to how we serve our clients. We have to keep our head out of the water and become visible in a market that is in the process of redefining itself. And we don't know exactly, and nobody can visualize actually exactly where the process will lead us. and it's difficult. So in order for us to attract new clients, direct clients, maybe some agencies, we need branding and strategic marketing.
Very good. Kimberly.
Yes,
Thank you, Patrice.
my pleasure.
Yes, for anyone who's still thinking about it, should I start using social media or not for my business? I just want to say a quote. Fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. And that means sometimes things seem scary, but they're actually super simple. So just start, it's going to make a huge impact on your business.
Beautiful. Love it. Nora.
Yes, I would say don't let imposter syndrome stop you. I think that's probably the worst thing that we can do. We all have something to share. There's always someone who will be interested in whatever it is that we are sharing. So yeah, don't let imposter syndrome stop you.
Thank you, Nora. Diego, and I love it, Nora.
I would say, and this is valid outside of social media as well, be authentic. And you need to go beyond your comfort zone, but if you are authentic in what you share, what you say, and how you say it, I think it's the best.
Agreed. Dorota.
I was going to say exactly the same, Diego, you took it out of my mouth. But I will leave you with my favorite quote related to authenticity. So of course, don't be afraid to be authentic, but I will leave you with another quote from one of my favorite books called I Am. So it was saying, simply be, let your true nature emerge. So you don't have to be spiritual to take something from that quote. Simply don't be afraid to be yourself also in your social media actions.
Beautiful. Jan, thank you, Dorota.
Yeah, don't overthink. Don't overthink. Go and publish. Worst mistake you can take is overthink your post. A post is a minute of the social media life. It takes time to get to a high level like you all guys are doing it. So gain experience, start a locked lunch, start exposing yourself, and well, you can get a real good feel about locked lunch on the 30s, where we have a live stream. Stefan, we talked about that. See what others do and get your hands dirty.
Thank you. If I can say, be unique, find your voice, and get cookie glasses like
That's
my
it.
hats
Yeah.
off to you, Diego. Stefan, wrap
Do
up.
I get an end line? I'll put the bow on it. I would say there's nothing but upside on social media activity. You're going to make lots of mistakes, and the good thing is when you start out on social media, you hardly have any network. So the first really bad mistakes, nobody's ever going to be paying attention to, and they're a good chuckle when you look back. When I look back at the first videos I made, they are horrendous, and that's the way it is. It's very, very forgiving, and there's nothing but upside. So have at it, and if any of the audience members has questions for any of us or needs a mentor, or all these people that are around the table are super friendly and easy to approach, feel free to send us an instant message on LinkedIn, and we'll answer your questions and help you along. Thank you so very much to all the panelists for being here, spending so much time with us, being so gracious with your time and your advice. Thank you, Fabiano, for indulging my wild idea and setting this up with me. This was so much fun, and we should do it again soon. Camila, thank you for accepting to monitor the chat room for us behind the scenes. And yeah, that's it. We'll do it soon again, hopefully. And Fabiano, a final word. Go ahead. You take it away.
Thank you for your generosity. It's and for both sides. I think Stefan for inviting me, for all the guest speakers. Patrice, I'm so sorry. We'll do another one with you alone. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the audience for participating so actively. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. The panelists stick around when I hit stop so we can make sure that the upload is finalized when I hit the stop. Thank you, audience, and see you soon. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.